Well, hello there. Here's a question. Can you dry herbs using a microwave? The answer is yes, and here's how to do it. When we're done, I'll store the herbs in clean jars. Let's get started. About halfway through the summer, I like to cut back all the herbs in my garden, and I usually end up with a ton of herbs. I use some fresh, but I'm never going to use them all, so I like to dry them. So today I picked a ton of oregano, chives, and tarragon, and that's what we'll be drying today, using the microwave. It is so much faster than using a dehydrator. And since most people have a microwave and not a dehydrator, let's try this method. So first I grab the largest plate I can find that fits in my microwave, and then I line it with a paper towel. I'm trying to line up the herbs so that it's pretty much a single layer and it's not too deep, just so there isn't too much moisture in there all at once. So I start off using 30-second intervals. I think this oregano ended up taking about 2.5 minutes in total. What you're looking for is when you crumble the leaves, they crumble really easily and they don't feel damp anymore. So all you need to do is just grab a clean jar. And for the oregano, I'm just going to pick the leaves off, try to avoid all the sharp stems, and further crumble the leaves as much as possible before putting them in the jar. For efficiency, you can be drying a second batch of herbs while you crumble the first batch. This is really the part that takes the longest. You just want to pick through those leaves very carefully to make sure there's nothing sharp or woody in there anymore. When you're done, you can put the herbs in any jar you choose. Don't forget to put a label on it so you remember what it is. Here's a tip if you're not quite sure you got all the moisture out of those herbs. If you can find one of those do not eat silica packages, super easy to wrap it in cheesecloth and just put it inside the lid of the jar. That way it won't go moldy. It just looks really dumb. So I got all the oregano done, and this is how much I ended up with. Quite a bit, but compared to what we started with, it dries down quite a lot. Now let's do the chives. First I'm going to sort out all the flower stems because they are way too woody to cut. Once I've sorted through and pulled all of those out, I'm going to slice the chives very, very small. You could probably even cut them smaller than this, but they will shrink down when they're dried. I'm just going to cut all of the chives and then dry them. I'll use the same method as the oregano. I'll put the chives on a paper towel lined plate and put them in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time, and these didn't take as long as the oregano did. I'm also picking through all the leaves as I'm doing this just to pick out anything that doesn't look great. And once they're dried enough to be able to crumble in your fingers, then they're done. And just store those in clean jars and remember to put a label on it. Last, I'll dry the tarragon. This is how much tarragon I got. You can see it's already started to wilt since I picked it, but that's okay. Tarragon dries really well. So I'm going to use the same method, put it in a single layer on a plate, covered with paper towel, and 30 seconds at a time in the microwave at full power until it starts to crumble in your fingers. And then I'll just remove all the leaves from the stems, making sure I pull out anything that's sharp or woody. And then crumble it a little further by squeezing the paper towel and getting that into a clean jar. And then once that's labeled, I will know it's tarragon and not something else. Although you can tell just by smelling it. I only have green painter's tape, so that's what I'm using. And I'll just write out that name in my lovely printing that's totally straight and not crooked at all, plus the date. Here's a little comparison of oregano that I dried in the microwave next to store-bought oregano. The herb I dried is much brighter green. Why don't you give it a try and let me know in the comments below if you dried any herbs this way. Why not try one of these recipes that use dried herbs? Thanks for watching.